Hey, welcome everybody. It's the airdrop special on June 25th. We didn't plan it this way, but it's time for some talk about airdrops and welcome to EOS Radio show number 17, Kevin? What is it?
Yeah, 16, dude.
16.
16.
Okay.
That's four. If you look at it that way, it's 4 months worth of EOS radio shows now that we've
Wow.
done. Yeah,
Have we
16.
missed one?
No,
We haven't even missed one, have we?
no, we don't ever miss a show here. Blue Jays, as you can see from my background here, I'm traveling right now on vacation with my family, and yet I'm still here on EOS radio with you guys. So
Wow. That's
we're here to
dedication.
party. Yeah. But of course, we'll talk about the more serious issues that have been happening recently. There's a lot of arguing going on, a lot of ECAF strife, and some of the BP stuff, and that we will get into that tonight, guys. We'll go with that with Thomas later on when he's coming on, probably in about an hour or so from now. To begin with, though, we'll do our airdrop special. We have, I think it's two different projects airdropping, and then one airdrop expert, if you will, who wrote a little bit about that and has a table for everybody to help keep on top of what is happening with the airdrops. So, seems pretty good to me, Blue Jays.
Yeah, so Chaney Moore, he goes by River Fisher, he put together this great article about how to determine the value of an airdrop. Yeah, drop it like it's hot, definitely. So you get all these little candy, some of the people around the world like to call it, and in your account, and it's they're not all candy is equally as sweet, right? Or you might like chocolate, but you got licorice. I don't know, something like that. So he helps you determine, if it's a good chocolate or a great licorice, something like that.
Or even a warhead, very sour, or one of those fireball candies that are really hot and spicy. Yeah. It could be any kind of candy. It's an exciting time for all of us. So
Right.
all the kids are lining up here, waiting
So are
for
you
their.
saying it's Halloween, Kevin?
Seems like it is. Yeah. Have you said your trick or treat? What are you going for these airdrops? What are you dressing up as, Blue Jays?
Florida man.
Florida. Oh man, who do we have? We have Dallas Rushing coming up here shortly, right? Dallas is a lot of folks know him already. He's on YouTube a lot, doing great videos to help people understand EOS and tutorials and talking about different aspects of EOS. And he's actually with a new project called Karma. He's coming in shortly. What do you know about Karma so far, there, Blue Jays?
Um, I talked to Dallas about it, and it sounds like a really cool DApp. I would like for him to go through more. I don't want to basically boil down his app to something that doesn't give it justice. So, I'll wait till Dallas comes on. I'm looking forward to him, and also did you mention Horuspay yet? They're having an airdrop soon, and so he wants to announce that on our show.
Yeah, the Horuspay. We've heard from Jareb earlier during our launch shows, during the launch weekend we did, and he was talking about it then. But I guess it's actually happening this pretty soon, right? Within the next week or so,
Yeah,
they're actually doing the airdrop.
they're going to be doing it next Saturday night. Yeah, and I'll be attending that sort of event that they'll have there, so I'll get to see that little airdrop party, and I'm looking forward to it.
You gonna wear your sunglasses?
Yeah, man. Got to protect yourself from all these things dropping from the air, right?
Right.
Or maybe
Yeah.
goggles, safety goggles, more like it. Yeah.
Safety goggles. Yeah. You never know; it might fly up. I think with the name Karma, it seems like it's about giving back to each other, and I've read a little bit about it. It seems like an excellent project, right? I mean, folks go out and do good deeds, and here he comes, Mr. Rushing himself. Hey, Dallas, can you hear us? Okay. He's got his Karma shirt on. That's the logo he's wearing there as well.
Yep.
Hey,
Yeah,
Dallas,
what's up, guys?
Hey,
Hey,
Dallas.
doing good to
Is
meet
the
you.
background noise okay?
Sound great. Yeah,
Good?
Okay.
everything's good.
All right, cool.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
We were just talking a little bit about Karma, and of course, we don't know a lot about it. Everybody knows you in particular, and I guess a lot of these shows we do the who, what, where, why, when, and it would be actually a little fun to learn a little bit more about you in particular, and then jump into Karma too. So if you
Sure.
could, we'd love to hear it.
Where should I start?
Well, who's Dallas Rushing?
Man, I grew up in LA. I was like an athlete at the time. I played baseball and stuff like that. I played in college for a little bit, and it just wasn't for me. I think at that point I wanted to switch it up and do something different. So ended up leaving school. I got my realtor's license when I think I was 19. So I was a realtor, and it was hard to sell people houses when you're their kids' age. So that was fun. And then, after that, I started a marketing business, and Mega Takeoff Marketing. I have it on some of my like social handles and stuff like that still, and still have clients for that today. And just did that for quite a while. Got into into the blockchain space just as a fan and someone interested in everything. I think a little over maybe 2 years and some change ago now, and just became fascinated with it, and obviously only started the channel a few months back, like you guys, and had been in the space for a while before that, but really just like I said, I think for a lot of people, the whole blockchain aspect of the world is kind of like a virus. Once you once you start learning, and you're kind of in a black hole, and you keep going. So there's so much to learn. I mean, I know almost nothing now still compared to what there is to know, and I think that's probably true for most of us. And then sort of here now.
What made you decide to get into this project?
For Karma?
Yeah.
Oh man. So this was actually, I had an idea for a social network like this a while back. But just at the time, there was really no way to like put it together. You know what I mean? There wasn't the some of the things that Steemit has created, or at least sort of created those ideas, and then a lot of us can sort of stand on the shoulders of giants and learn from that. So there was really no way to do it, but I always thought it'd be cool to sort of have a way to incentivize people to do good stuff. The way we got into Karma, so I actually live in Colombia right now, and myself and my partner, maybe it's all happened so fast. This was maybe not even 6 weeks ago. We were here, just chatting back and forth about just the space generally and whatnot. And I sort of presented him this idea, and he was like, hold on. He came back, and this was an idea he had like sketched out, like this same idea a couple of years back, and sort of had the same issue. There was no way to, incentivize people, with a token or whatever you want to call it, any sort of form of value for people. There's no way to incentivize them. And so for both of us, it was just sort of an idea. But now, I think with things like EOS and, being able to look at projects like Steemit and learn from some of their successes and maybe slight mistakes and whatnot. I think it was sort of a perfect storm. And we really wanted to do it. I just think if you can incentivize people to do good things, people will do more good things.
How does it work?
So have you guys read the white paper yet or no?
Have not.
I saw your one pager. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We have the white paper out now too. You guys can, it's on the website, anyone who wants to check it out. So, I mean, how does it work is I guess sort of a broad question, but I mean, the simplest form, there is, we start with a total supply of Karma, and every day, a little bit more will be made. And, the specifics of how all that breaks down, we can go into that if you guys like, but generally for sort of like the overview of it, the more Karma you were to stake, the more an upvote you would give to somebody would be worth, because as you guys know, when you upvote someone's post on, let's say something like Steemit, for example, it's not even just a like, it's more of a vote as to where the new money's going. The new tokens are going, I should say. So generally like that, right? It's like, you're in the real world, you'll see something. You can either get an idea within the app. There'll be like an idea generator to give people cool stuff that they can do if they can't think of anything. Or if you see an old lady with groceries, you help her out. Anything that would qualify as doing good for people. You post it in the app, and if people upvote you and give you likes, then you'll get some Karma.
If I remember correctly, the folks who are actually upvoting you, they're sort of incentivized to keep their eyes open for stuff that might be happening, good deeds that might be happening around them. And then once they upvote, they're actually receiving some curation rewards, if you will, kind of like Steemit. Is that right?
You said the person doing the upvote?
Yeah. So I was looking through on the one page. It seemed like the folks who are looking out for good deeds, if they upvote or if they provide some Karma to someone who has done the good deed, they actually receive part of the reward as well, just to sort of keep folks looking around for those good deeds that are happening. It seems like almost like they're curating, just like on Steemit, like a real world version of Steemit in a way.
Yeah, so there'll be an element of that for sure. It's just at the end of the day with all this stuff, right? It's all these things are experiments, and we sort of have again like a model like Steam to go off of, and taking the best elements of that we can, and really making something new. And we do go into a lot of the specifics in the white paper, like I said, for those who want to check it out. But that's definitely going to be an element of it. And all these things are work in progress, right? So if that works out and it's the best incentive for both parties, then that'll continue. If the community wants to change that and there's a better way, and the structure could differ slightly, then the platform is open to change for those who use it.
Very nice. Yeah, seems like a great idea. I mean, bringing the world of dApps offline, of course, and incentivizing folks to do good things. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
We've got the link up now in the chat for folks to take a look at the white paper as well.
Cool.
Yeah,
and we really think, a project like Karma, I think, all of us, we've talked about Steemit a few times now, but all of us like Steemit, right? Those who like EOS, we generally think Steemit's a really cool thing. And I post my videos on there, like I think you guys do as well, right? But I think a lot of and part of the reason is because we haven't had something like EOS as a sort of a foundation up until now. But most of these things in the space, they're not let's say they're not non-blockchain friendly, right? So for the average person, sort of the onboarding process or the barrier to entry is sort of difficult. And so sort of something like this, with Karma, we're really trying to make it to try and bridge that gap between the non-blockchain, non-techie people. And I think it's a really simple concept that I think we'll have some success with bringing in a lot of people who don't know the difference between a Bitcoin and EOS, for example. I think it'd be a good onboarding tool for those kind of people to get into the space and then get as excited as all of us are.
Yeah. Hey, Dallas, talk about the
Yes.
bear market that's going on right now. You still it's probably on your mind, right? Tell us what your thoughts are about that.
So as to why it's happening, or sort of like just my general thoughts, or
Well,
I guess I'll give.
Specific to your project, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess it's kind of fitting, right? I mean, like for my my YouTube channel at least, right? I was like, what, if I can start a YouTube channel when the markets are down, it'll be great once the markets go back up. And at the same time, I'm like, what, if we can launch a project with good intentions when the markets are down, then I have then it's only going to go up from here. You know what I mean? I'd rather launch a project at the bottom of the market than at the top, probably. But generally, for me, just like personally, I really believe in dollar cost averaging. And I think that's something like most people sort of like shoo off, because it's not sexy, for lack of a better word. But the reason why that's important is just it's impossible to guess the tops and the bottoms, especially in the space we're in, where the value of most of these things aren't tied to earnings, and the predictability isn't there in the same way, right? It requires these things to grow and to get more adoption, and then even beyond that, there's still some foolery going on, right, with like some of the big whales in the space that maybe or maybe not are trying to make some of these things happen intentionally, right? Sort of to maybe get a better position at the bottom of the market. I think that's something that I don't know. So maybe what's been happening might show that that's maybe true, but it depends who you ask. But again, like how long will the markets last like this for? Who knows, right? I mean, it could be today could be the bottom, and we're laughing about this in a year.
Mm-hmm.
It could get a little bit lower, right? But either way, you know what I mean. Like I said, like you said, sort of alluded to with with Karma launching in this. I think it is better. I think that I'd rather sort of this becoming something out there now. Because we're not just this isn't a project that's just like hey, this is the best currency out there because look at our tokenomics. It's like it'll be something people can actually use, and as more people use it, then it makes any of these things more valuable. So I think that'll be true whether the markets are good or bad.
Sure, that makes sense to me too. Yeah, let's learn more about your airdrop as well and your token. A lot of folks are asking if the airdrop has already happened or how many tokens there will be and whatnot. Can you give us some insight?
Yeah. So we put in our Telegram, we have a Medium article as well too that has almost there's a few things that we might update, but it has just about all the important things that most people would want to know in regards to the airdrop. So it'll actually start on July 1st. Will be when the airdrop will start for the distribution to people. It will be using the Genesis block snapshot, which was on June 2nd, depending on where people are in the world. And we're it'll be it'll directly go to people's obviously EOS wallets because it will be an EOS based token. And I do have a lot of people asking. I know people are still trying to kind of understand what these new tools we have. So wallets like Simplios or I think it's Generios, is that how you say it? Generios, right? Them, and then I'm hoping Greymass as well. Those wallets will show, or should show, people's karma balances once they receive the airdrop. So that's good. There'll be a way for people to actually see them and have access to the tokens to do whatever they'd like. And then so far, we already have 3 exchanges who have announced that they'll support it, which is cool. And those links to those exchanges are in the Medium article. It is Big.one, KKEX, and BitBNS. It's a newer exchange out of India. It's actually a pretty cool exchange. If people haven't checked that one out, it's pretty cool.
Very good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Dallas, what does your roadmap look like?
Yeah, so we if people looked at the roadmap on the site now, we're obviously kind of close to the end of that, so we're going to add more things to it. But basically, what we're really shooting for is to have our MVP out in July. So this month coming up, it should have really the key features that people could see from the designs and the white paper and everything like that. There'll be a couple of intricacies that would probably delay the MVP coming out, so that'll be on like a second version that will, or sort of an upgrade or update that will come out later. But the core features, being able to post and upvote and receive karma rewards and all the different things, like a lot, like the real core features, those will be in the MVP, and like I said, we're really shooting for that to be in July. All of our everyone on our team seems to think that that's a fair conservative date. So if we're a day or two off, I hope people aren't mad at us, but we're trying.
That's cool. It seems like, and we actually met you at Tulip Conference in San Francisco, and you showed us kind of a demo of the product. It seems like you had it on your phone, or maybe it was your partner, and it looks pretty neat from what I saw.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I mean, and I think this is something, I think a lot of projects, especially in the space we're in, right? I don't know. This is sort of just how I've always done all the little businesses I've had prior till this point. But, I think people so often they try to, reinvent the wheel, and they're just like, oh, I need to think of, this like 2020 or this 2097 idea that no one's ever thought of. And with this app, like I just thought about when we were thinking of the designs, I was like, what apps do I like and what do I use all the time? And so we really just got a lot of different elements from all of like our favorite apps and sort of combined it into one to kind of make a new, a new version of all the things we like. And yeah, thank you for saying that. Our designer, our graphic designer who made the design, she's really cool. She's someone I've worked with in my marketing business for a long time. She's in Singapore. I've actually never met her in person, which is crazy. So she's super talented. Our devs are awesome. I met almost all of our devs in the EOS developers channel on Telegram too, which is cool.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and also the EOS jobs is the other one that I know a lot of devs are in there looking for work and stuff too, which is cool.
Yep, there's also an EOS opportunities channel out there as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that one. Dang, I'm gonna have to check that one out. But yeah, so and for anyone who hasn't seen the designs, like you mentioned, Kevin, they're on a lot of the screenshots are on the website of how the app will look, and so people can check that out and give some feedback. If anyone has a cool idea, I mean, please share with us in the Telegram group. We're open to it. We like longer term. We really as these tools on how to really do it the right way develop. We want Karma to be a DAC, and so we're going to work closely, I think, with EOS DAC's help to help make that happen. I think it'd just be a better thing for everybody who uses it, later on, because the users would have more, they'd have more say in sort of the direction of the platform post launch.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
And actually, it looks like NS James was in the chat. He just said that all the wallets have added support for alt tokens today: Greymass and EOS Toolkit and Scatalit and even Simplios. So folks who have those wallets should be able to see the airdrop as well.
Okay, yeah,
pretty cool.
I saw an article, and I think it was that. Really cool. Yep.
Oh, so you sort of cut out there, Dallas.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I said someone had sent me a link about that, but I didn't get to confirm it for myself. So cool.
Okay. I wonder what that means. It probably means that you can add custom tokens, so that would be any airdrop that comes in should be able to pick that up, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, I know prior, a lot of them were asking for sort of, the things people the information people would need to add, like the contract address and whatnot. But I think if they can make it easier for people, that's better, right? I mean, less friction.
Right. Well, yeah, that was that's great. And what can we look forward? Where can people keep up with you and also the project?
Yeah. So we're gonna have a ton of different challenges and things like that within the Telegram and I think within the app and the kind of content. I mean, I kind of want people to get competitive with the whole thing. I think if you're trying to one up each other, it might as well be doing something good. So we'll have like our own form of like ice bucket challenges and things like that that'll go on, which would be really fun. But really, I mean, I think it'll give an opportunity for people to even we want to get a lot of different and we're talking to a lot now of like YouTube content creators and different people who whatever do daily vlogs and stuff like that. And what I think would be fun is even I think the majority of the posts inside the app will be like one thing someone does, right? But I would like to see a 30-second long or 1 minute video of like your whole day of like all the cool stuff you did. And there'll be the chance for posts that get a lot of upvotes inside the app to sort of catch on and be in the popular category or sort of trending within the app. And so I think it would just be a good challenge for people to keep kind of trying to make something cooler and have a better impact on what they're doing.
What's the ultimate rank in Karma? Is it like,
There's actually, that's funny that you say that. We were just talking about exactly how we're gonna do that. Maybe Karma God. I don't know. We'll have to decide. No, I don't know. But we want to make like badges and stuff inside the app. I think that'd be really fun for people to be able to kind of earn, to earn like a higher rank once you've gotten a certain amount of karma and stuff like that. Maybe it'll unlock certain features or something like that. Well, we're still working out some of the stuff like that, but those things will evolve over time. But again, like I said, if people have cool ideas that would make the app better, we're completely open to it.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Badges always incentivize, get people going, right? Gotta have those badges. Like them all.
Oh, you got to, man. Blockchain started as a video game culture, so I think it just makes sense that that would continue. But yeah, I mean, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. If you guys, ever want to hop on my channel, we should do a video on mine as well too. And tell me how you guys started EOS Go. I'm so curious about how it all started. So that'd be fun.
Oh,
sure.
Cool. Thanks for the invite,
man. Yeah.
No problem. So who you guys have on next?
We have Chaney Moore's coming on talking about his airdrop. He has kind of a spreadsheet to help people stay on top of all the airdrops because there's a lot coming up. He also wrote an article a few weeks ago.
Okay, I've seen his. Cool.
Yep.
I know what that is.
We'll hear from him about his knowledge as to what's going on.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, cool.
He's got like an assessment matrix, just to rank the airdrop quality almost.
You were.
Oh, cool. Nice. Okay, that's going to be useful for people. I mean, I think we're going to have an airdrop party going on pretty soon, so yeah. That's exciting. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to how everything goes, but I'd love to be back on once Karma's out there in the world and a real thing and give you guys the update.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Dallas.
All right. See you guys.
All right. See ya. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Airdrop party, huh? Yeah. That's what did you take away there, Bluejays? Are you gonna go out and help a grandma with her groceries? What's your next step here?
Oh, I'm already I need to be already at a high level because that's just how I am, right? So I can only fall down.
You can you're already at the top and you're is that why you asked about the highest title available?
Right.
Okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah.
No, but I think it's a really cool project. I mean, incentivizing a good behavior. Yeah, why not? I mean, we saw EOS Nairobi talk about incentivizing kids to go to school, right? So these are all cool use cases, and I wish him a lot of luck. And yeah,
should be good, right? You think so? Yeah, I mean, it looks like a project that's taking kind of a Steemit model into the real world, which to me is pretty interesting. It's pretty neat. I think this is a good opportunity for folks to be rewarded for all the good deeds they do and just kind of incentivize better behavior throughout all of humanity. I guess it sounds interesting. I think it's a neat project.
Right.
Yeah.
Kevin, did you go through the article that Chaney Moore wrote?
Yeah, he has a grid to help assess airdrops and their viability and whether they should be respected or kind of sold off immediately, kind of thing. And there he is, Chaney himself.
Guys.
Hey, Chaney.
Hey, welcome.
How are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah, good to meet you.
Are you in Australia, Chaney?
No, I'm in Texas, and if I remember correctly, I watched all the shows. I think I'm probably the first interviewee you've had from the Lone Star State. So welcome to Texas. I don't have a Guinness, but I do have Shiner Bock if you guys ever decide to come visit.
Well, we just had Dallas on, and I believe Steve Floyd who has been before us from Dallas too. So there you go.
Well, rats. Well, I wanted to show you my plants off as well. So I'm outside. If the sounds of nature get too loud for you, let me know. It's been a beautiful day here, so I moved it outside. But nature may impede us, so let me know if that gets in the way.
Once again, one of our guests says, "One up to us with the plants." That's what a display back there.
Oh, man.
Well, cool. Yeah, we were just talking about your grid. So you wrote the article about a week ago, I think it was, talking about airdrops and what you should look for, and also, whether you should sell them off or you should try to hang on to them. Can you give us kind of an insight into your article for those who've not seen it? And also, of course, we'd love to learn more about your background too, in general.
Sure. My background, I'm a real estate and property tax manager for a large corporation. So I'm still tied to the corporate purse strings, if you will. Crypto is really a passion that I've developed in the last year. Just to give you a little background from where I came into it. My dad was a real estate investor, master's in real estate, undergrad in finance. And one thing that really stuck with me once I graduated is he pulled me aside. 6 years of college, I had some debt. And he said, listen, I'm going to take care of this for you. And it was a total surprise. I'd worked through college. It wasn't expected. He said, I want to teach you a quick lesson. I could take this money and I could pay it off and that debt would be gone. Or I could go ahead and make these payments and that money would be gone as well. But I'm going to take it and I'm going to invest this money into a real estate project. And I'm going to use the income from that project to pay those payments off. And at the end of the day, instead of having zero, I'm going to have a property that's worth probably more than that initial loan was. So when I've approached crypto, I've approached it from a passive income standpoint. I'm looking at what I can do with that. I initially dug my heels in. Friends tried to convince me to get into crypto, and I didn't do it. But eventually a friend talked to me about a project that did have a passive income like metric associated with it. And from there, I started doing some research and came across EOS primarily because of the bandwidth leasing. Mm-hmm. I didn't fully understand based on the $1 billion DApp fund. I thought, oh, great, I could lease my bandwidth for more. There's going to be more of a demand there. And it wasn't until February when the Everpedia airdrop was announced and I fully understood what the impact was with EOS and really jumped in full bore. I got very active on Reddit, got very active on Telegram, started trying to involve myself and learn as much as I could. And how this article came about, I was looking for ways I could.
Before we go there, Chaney, what clicked when the Everpedia airdrop? What in your mind, what happened there?
So it goes back to the passive income. I didn't realize that, hey, there's a whole new economic model out there, the airdrop model, and it's really fascinating. Of course, Everpedia is taking some VC funds, and it's a little bit different beast, but I realized at that point that, hey, we're going to get a piece of probably every one of these VC-funded projects that come out. At least I hope we do it. And then with the EOS stack and their success with their airdrop model, it's really a fascinating mechanism to raise funds outside of the ICO model. So I was looking for ways to add value to the community. I reached out to a few folks, and Kevin at EOS New York was actually kind enough to put me in touch with EOSys, which is the Korean block producer. Kevin, Orchid Kim sends her regards. I believe you met her last month at the EOSys meetup in Korea.
Oh, yeah.
And as part of that, I joined the EOS evangelist group, and they're looking for good content. I did an article for EOSys regarding a crypto hiker's guide to EOS. They had a translation issue there with some of their wording, and I rewrote the article for them, and they liked it. So that's how I got into this. How the article actually came about. Some friends and I, who are big EOS investors were talking about the massive amount of airdrops that we're going to see. Now, I took it pretty conservative, actually, in the article where I said there's estimates of 200, but we've heard estimates as high as 1,000 airdrops in the first year, which would be incredible, but also overwhelming, if you will. And we're talking about how to keep track of them and to grade them. And that's where the model came from. It wasn't originally intended for to be spread across the cryptoverse, but it was intended for our personal use, and thought that it could be used for the greater good.
How does one come up with an estimate for the amount of airdrops? Is it just are there projects listed everywhere, or is it just a sort of a good guess or hypothesis?
Well, if I recall correctly, the 1,000 airdrops probably came from Rock Pierce a while back, but we've heard other estimates along the way. So not my personal estimate, but when you look at it, I wrote the article, 2 weeks ago, a little less than that, a week and a half ago is when I actually released it now. And at the time, it was 17 Genesis snapshot airdrops. And as of today, I recalculated, we're up to 23. And that's just from the Genesis snapshot. So it's a pretty amazing, I know that's over months, but I think that with the lack of announcements from the VC funds, the Block 1 VC funds, we haven't seen much since the Everpedia, anything, if you will, that I'm hopeful that we'll see some more in the near future.
Chaney, talk about the methodology that you use in your assessment matrix.
So really, I'm trying to make this for the average Joe crypto, if you will, somebody that may not be technical, someone that doesn't have a coding background. It could be anybody that's outside the coding world. And I want them to approach it from a personal standpoint, not necessarily rely on a third party to do their work for them. And it's really a high level, should be fast, and it should be a pretty easy mechanism to review. We're looking at two factors: your own personal opinion of how involved you want to be in the project or how excited you are by the project. And then two, do you think, just on your high level review, do you think the project has a chance to succeed? And so, when we're looking at this from your personal standpoint, do you want to be involved in the project? Is this a project where you will use the app or DApp that's being developed by the team? Is it a project at the end of the day where you'll sit down and say, hey, mom, dad, hey, acquaintances, coworkers, whatever, this is a project that I support and I want to tell somebody about it without a referral fee, without some other type of mechanism. I would go out and tell my loved ones that they need to go get involved in this project. And then at a high level view from reviewing a project, some simple terms. Is there a reason it needs to be on blockchain? Does the website, if they can't prepare a website, then maybe they can't develop a DApp, is the white paper easy to read, and does it make sense when you're going through it? Honestly, is it a VC funded project? If it's a VC funded project, they've done a lot of the due diligence. They have a belief that the project will succeed and they have a stake in the matter. And honestly, that's what they do, not something that the average Joe will be doing. And then in addition to that, do they have prior blockchain experience, or do they have prior experience into in the field that they're trying to break into with the DApp? How
do you evaluate prior blockchain experience?
Well, hopefully when you look on their website, they have a pretty good team listing there. And of course, if they're anonymous, then that's kind of out the window, and you really can't evaluate that. And you have to think to yourself, well, why are they remaining anonymous, and what's the basis for that? But hopefully they have a team overview there, have a good listing of their previous experience as well.
Very good. And are you at liberty to say what some of your favorites are, or some of the ones that have passed your methodology to be highly rated?
Sure. And actually, I do that in the article itself. And keep in mind, these are from my personal experience. I want everybody to do this for themselves. But being in corporate America, I have quite a few contacts. And as part of that, I've seen job postings out there that I think people would be qualified for and would enjoy or do excel at. And I've made recommendations in the past that they go out and apply for certain jobs. So that kind of dovetails right into the Higher Vibes DAP that's going to be coming out soon, which was put together by EOS Vibes, a block producer candidate. And it's a DAP that will let people recommend people for jobs. And then if that person's hired, the person that referred them will get a fee, and the person that hired will get a fee. So it's kind of invading the
middleman space almost.
Exactly. And something I'm already doing, so something I probably will continue to do. And if I can be incentivized or paid to do it, I will continue to do so. It's got a big name behind it. It's got a block producer candidate behind it. Obviously, they have some blockchain experience. You've got Kyle from the Awakenment that's really been involved in EOS, the space. So it's got a pretty good story from my standpoint, and I tend to probably keep those tokens and utilize the DAP when it comes out. And really, that's what the grid is doing. You're looking at it from your perspective. You're placing it in the 9-box grid and using that to come up with a strategy. I make some, not recommendations. Don't want to recommend anybody do anything, but I make some opinions of what I may do with tokens that fall into those different boxes. Honestly, I talked about the ecosystem for airdrops. If they don't develop a community, if they don't make a community, if people aren't using their tokens and people aren't excited by their tokens and people just hold them or people immediately sell them all off, we're going to be doing a disservice to these project developers. And you really need to do a little homework. They're giving you something. They're getting something in return, but you need to give them a fair shake if they deserve it.
Well said. Yeah, I like the fact that, and of course, this will be something that we need more clarity on going forward. I guess even a recommendation service may be important from certain folks like yourself, folks who keep up with all the airdrops and have personal opinions on them. You know, most folks just want to read a personal opinion more so than doing their own research sometimes, as we've seen. So it's great that you're sort of starting this process in terms of just offering the tools for folks to sort of be able to figure it out quickly and easily. That's
Sure.
pretty cool.
In that article, I do link to a chart. In that chart, I will update. I like spreadsheets a little bit more because you can own them. You can take that data and you can do with what you want versus a website. So I will be updating those spreadsheets. You can track it however you would like. You can take your own notes in there. After you've received an airdrop or sold it, you can delete it from the spreadsheet and do what you like. So take it for yourself, control it, own it, and do with it what you will. But I will update them on a regular basis. I hope to provide maybe a bi-weekly or every 2 or 3 weeks an update for a project that I like, and I will go through the grid with those assessment grid and give my opinions of what I feel about the project. So please follow up, and if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me about those.
Yeah, we put the link to your spreadsheet over there in the YouTube chat, so a lot of folks are looking at it right now as well.
Great.
So thank you for putting that together. Any other projects that folks should keep an eye on that you maybe have heard about that we don't know quite as much about yet?
There's more coming out all the time, and I just learned about Karma really a week ago. So it's good to see Dallas on and talking about that. Now, there's a lot of good projects coming up. I think everybody's excited about Everpedia. Yeah. It's really going to be fascinating to see how they implement that, how the reward system's implemented, and how. Like I said, the economics really fascinate me to see how that plays out. So that's another one I'm really looking forward to.
Good. Do you have any opinion on the ones that are currently in people's EOS accounts? I think it was CETOS and also ADD.
Yes, I've actually talked to the CETOS project manager. Man, he is got a vision. It's going to take a long ways for him to get to that implementation of that project. I know he's just starting to develop a team and get a team behind him. He's got some work to do on his website. He's got some work to do in his white paper. He's got a great vision. He's gonna have to really work on the implementation and going forward. On ADD, I have looked into them. What did I have on my spreadsheet here? Bluejays. They recently just showed up. I looked at them. They were a BP candidate. I don't know much else about them, honestly. I did notice when I went out and looked at the contract address, they had a pretty poor airdrop ratio based on the number of tokens they created in the contract. Now, whether or not they burn those tokens, I don't know, but I believe they were dropping about $500 million to a total fund of $10 billion based on the contract, which doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence right there.
That's a ratio of what, 5% maybe? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Do you look at that? Is that one of your important indicators? What is the ideal number in your mind?
Well, it does vary, and you have to look at from a standpoint where they received their funding as well. Some people were up in arms about the Ono airdrop. Ono is only dropping $1 billion out of $75 billion supply, but they also raised $16 million of private equity funding. So you can't expect them to give all the value back to the community. So if the project team is keeping a large portion of the tokens with very minor amount of work involved, then you might have a red flag associated with that project. Not necessarily a pump and dump, because, but certainly, you have a chance for somebody trying to raise the value of a token and selling all theirs and leaving the project.
What gets communicated to you? What does it mean in your mind when you see a percentage of like 60% or more, 60, 70%?
A retained or airdropped?
Airdropped.
That means that they do want to build a strong community, that they do value the EOS ecosystem and the community, and they want to get us involved by sharing with us a significant portion of the value they're creating. If they withheld that value, obviously the impact would be much, much smaller at the end of the day for them as well. So you have EOS DAC. They airdropped what, 900 million of 1.2 billion tokens, and then ended up not giving the exchanges that didn't honor the airdrop, and burned another $250 million tokens. So they have about 1 billion tokens, a little less, out there circulating, and their values have ranged somewhere between a dime and almost a quarter. That's a huge valuation for a block producer candidate at this time. I know they're a block producer now, but based on EOS of $8 to $10 as we stand today, that's a huge valuation they got from being an airdrop versus an ICO. They would not have received that value.
Good point.
Yeah, this has been very. I've enjoyed this actually. This has been great. It's fun to think and look forward to what's actually coming on EOS and what we're trying to be here. What we're doing here, instead of just all the internal issues that need to be fixed and will be fixed, hopefully. And looking forward as well, are you? Do you feel like this will be an ongoing, like say a year from now, or even beyond that? Will there always be airdrops on the Genesis, or do you feel like there will be airdrops on the current token holders? What is just sort of your general thought?
No, I think that every project will pick their own snapshot. It's easy to look at the Genesis right now, the Genesis snapshot, and use it. It's still a good metric for the early investors, the EOS supporters, the community. Over time, that'll change. What will be interesting is to see how projects choose to airdrop their tokens or coins to potentially other projects that have acquired EOS for the bandwidth or the RAM or for other system resources, not the RAM. But so you may have a situation where airdrops exclude certain types of token holders in the future if those are easily identifiable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if I'm, I don't know, Horuspay, I know you have them coming up, and I know that Everpedia has a large amount of EOS tokens because they want to have the bandwidth. Do I really want to give the Everpedia a large potential share of my hard work? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out in the coming years.
Well said. That's a thought that I personally had not considered, but it makes sense, right? That's interesting.
And of course, everything is transparent, so we can see what everybody has.
Right.
Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you, Chaney, for coming on. It's been great meeting you. I know you're also very active on Reddit, and we've seen you all over the place in the EOS community for a long time now. So thank you for jumping in and helping folks out like you do.
No problem.
Chaney, you're always welcome to come back in a few weeks when there's 1,000 airdrops or 500.
I will gladly come back. Maybe at that point, I will be able to do this full time, and I'll quit the corporate job and just relying on the passive income of EOS at some point in the future. But I do look forward to it.
I hear you, and I promise we'll have like an airdrop little animation here, so we can do like a some kind of airdrop jig.
Yeah, I need an airdrop disco,
Right.
something going on, so I can enjoy it on the way out.
It's up here. We're working on it.
Yeah. So yeah, just keep an eye out. I am on Reddit, River King Fisher, and Telegram River King Fisher. So everybody come out and say hi there. I'm looking for other ways. If anybody needs help, always keep my eyes open. Try to help out the community there where I can. Tell Thomas Cox, great job. I watch you guys through EOS Go forums, and I watch the governance channels and the work proposal channels. It's amazing what's going on here. It's really exciting. The governance is the other aspect of EOS that really excites me, besides the passive income aspects.
Absolutely. It's certainly a big experiment. It's been a lot of fun so far, so we'll pass the word along.
Thank you. And guys, one other thing of value that you guys provide to me that I've missed out on lately, where are the Dan Telegram chat summaries? I mean, it's so hard now with the Dan bot to go back there and get a good understanding of what's going on in the world.
I know. Yeah, we need a better centralized source of information from what I've been hearing from the Telegram chats. But yeah, he's been in the EOS governance and stuff, so he is harder to track down these days. And we're working on something to help with that too. So hopefully we'll have something to help everybody soon.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Hashtag delete Telegram.
That too. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that'll be available on Telegram 2.0 on EOS at some point in the future. I can't wait to get that airdrop.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No kidding, right? Yeah.
Thanks, Chaney. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, guys. Go EOS.
Thanks, go EOS.
Yeah. Go EOS. Good deal. That was awesome, Blue Jays.
Did you hear that? Airdrop disco.
Airdrop disco. I mean, we're getting ideas from all areas now. And I think it's overdue, I would say. We have Jarab coming up from Horuspay, as Chaney was just alluding to. And actually, Jarab has been a regular guest the past weekend, the launch weekend, I should say, which was, I guess, 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Speaking of. So, yeah, we'll see Jarab again. He's going to talk about his impending airdrop. And here he comes. I guess you're going to be a part of that too, Blue Jays. Oh, there he is, the man with the mustache.
Hey,
all
right.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Doing good.
Doing well. Yeah. How's it going, man?
Very good, very good. Good to see you guys again. We have a storm going on, so I apologize for the background noise if you hear thunder on the background.
No worries. It makes you sound more powerful.
Well, you're getting is that real, or you're just saying that to hype us up for your airdrop?
No, it's real. That's true.
Apparently the weather heard about the airdrop as well. It's trying to match.
There's thunder coming out. Oh, what is it? It's Horuspay tokens.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to come on and announce that we're doing an airdrop party at Block Spaces in Tampa. So if there's anybody from the Tampa Bay area that is from the channel listening, you're welcome to come and stop by. So I think probably we're going to have an honored guest. That you guys know.
And who would that be, Jared?
Right. So very excited to do sort of we're preparing to have pizza and have some fun. We want to airdrop early in the morning on Saturday. So we're airdropping on June 30, Saturday. And then, so the party is from 6 to 9. And there's a bar next door for those who want to party harder with us. They can stay and have a couple beers. So, yeah.
Jarab, so you're expecting for the airdrop to be complete on Saturday itself?
You bet. We want to probably start airdropping at 12 in the morning of that Saturday. So it'll probably go through It should take about a couple hours to airdrop everything. So I want everybody to wake up in the morning on Saturday and check and have their airdrop there.
You mean Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, when I'm saying Saturday at 12 in the morning, I'm saying the evening of Thursday, starting Saturday. So
okay,
that's sort of the goal. And then if we get delayed, I'm hoping that by 6 p.m. on Saturday, everything is done and we just can party and have a good time.
Cool.
So yeah, that's the idea.
And Jared, we have somebody in the comments asking about, have you purchased the RAM required to do this? So
yes, we have the RAM required, and I was a little nervous because we had our tokens staked, and then I saw the RAM going higher and higher and higher, and my tokens were staked. I couldn't purchase, but I'd had some other. I did a workaround, and then I bought some additional EOS from Kraken, and then got the RAM because it was going up really fast.
cool.
Yeah, kind of as expected from some folks too. I mean, that RAM will be a precious resource. And can you talk a little bit? So, for those who are not familiar with Horuspay, can you give a brief overview and talk about the airdrop numbers and everything else?
Yes. So we're building a decentralized global payroll application that allows clients to exchange payroll data with their in-country partner or their international payroll providers using our portal. So our portal would allow companies to streamline their processes globally in a way that, for example, if you're Facebook and you have 2,000 employees globally in 20 different countries, you have sort of two options at this time. Either you go with a global payroll provider that would provide payroll for all of your employees and all of your countries, but then will act as a middleman, and there will be a markup that this global provider is taking, and then that markup, it could be from 50% to 80%, and then they also will get in the ways of the communications with their partners. So they will triangulate those communications. So that's option number one, which is the most common options for bigger companies. For smaller companies, they go outside of that, and then they're on their own. So if you have employees in 10, 20 different countries, you have 10, 20 different ways of exchanging data with those clients, with those payroll providers. So our portal would allow those companies to standardize their process, eliminate the middleman, and exchange data in only one portal globally. So that way, payroll specialists like me can handle multiple clients or multiple countries at the same time. Instead of just concentrating in the U.S. or Canada, I could process payroll for 8, 10 countries because I have the infrastructure to do so. So yeah, that's the core as phase one of our portal. Then phase two is we're incorporating an integration of human capital management systems like Workday or any database for HR where they enter the employee data. We're incorporating an interface where that data will flow right into our portal. So that'll allow to eliminate some data entry errors that we suffer in payroll. And then phase three of the portal will be implementing tools that allow companies to disburse payroll using cryptocurrencies. And we're most likely gonna start with the EOS ecosystem. So our token model is that or tokens is an access token. So each token represents an employee in the company, and then is a way to quantify the data that a company would use, because they hire their headcount, they hire the data that they use for payroll because they have way more movement and they're exchanging way more data. So we found that way to sort of quantify the data and make a relationship between the data and the employees. So if you have 2,000 employees globally, you will need 2,000 of our tokens, and then you will stake those tokens, and then you have access to the database and to exchange data with your payroll providers in that country. And then those tokens would also generate another token. While when those tokens are staked, they generate another token that is called Horus Dollar. And what this other token does is that allows you to pay for payroll services, help you pay for payroll services to those payroll providers, and eventually would help you pay for make payroll disbursements to your employees in those countries.
That's cool, Jar. So just to reiterate for the viewers, it's a 1-to-1, right?
Yes. So the ratio is 1-to-1 for then. So the total supplied is 1,200 million, and then we're airdropping 900 million, and at a 1-to-1. Excellent. So we're airdropping 75%.
Well, that's awesome, and we look forward to being down there at Block Spaces next week. And partying and, eating candy and all that stuff and pizza.
Looking forward to have you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. We just got to wrap with Thomas Cox coming on. It was a pleasure having you on as usual.
Thank you. All right. Have a good night. Bye.
Have a good one. See ya.
See ya.
Looks good, Blue Jays. You excited for some pizza, or are you most excited for the candy? What you?
Yeah, I'm normally not a dessert guy, but in this case, yeah, if candy, I'm going to go for the candy this time, yeah.
Yeah, and you see yourself, oh, here comes Mr. Cox himself. There he is. Hello.
Hey, Thomas.
Hello, Mr. Cox. Here's...
Greetings.
Hey, greetings. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Yeah.
Thomas, we're having an airdrop special today. We were wondering if you had any surprises for us.
I have no airdrop-related surprises for you. Nothing whatsoever on that front, sorry.
Okay. All right.
I have a small surprise, but it's not airdrop-related.
Oh, if you were going to airdrop, what would your token be called?
Ooh, give me a minute.
Okay.
I mean, I could go with my last name, but that's boring. What would it be? It'd be the Gov, G-O-V, for governance.
All right, there you go.
It would be redeemable for a unit of governance.
Oh, wow. I think you're onto something.
Whatever that means.
Whoa. Okay. All right.
We'll I like it, right?
Develop that token model a little bit more.
Woohoo!
Well, and yeah, so thank you, Thomas, and we'll look forward to those Gov coins. Let's talk about the worker proposals.
Okay. For the record, that was a joke. I'm not planning to issue any tokens or coins. There's no airdrop coming from me. What is coming from me is a minor change. By this time next week, I will have exited as long planned from Block 1. Dan Lermer and I have been talking about this since February about, once we go live, can governance really be run from inside Block 1? Obviously not. So then what? And so we've been thinking about, we almost pulled the trigger a few weeks ago, but how do we get me to stay active in governance and help coordinate things and just be as helpful as I can? And can I do that working for the software writer who's also a whale? Mm-hmm. And the sense is, yeah, maybe not so much. Okay, so if not, then what? And so I've got a couple of options open, and I'll announce all those details another time. And there's no official word from Block 1 yet, but I've never been an official Block 1 spokesperson, so expect any things from me. I'll tell you, unofficially, by this time next week, I expect to be a happy former Block 1 employee, working, as always, for the best interests of the community and our blockchain. So no changes on any of my actual engagement activities with the community, with you, with worker proposals, referendum, trying to help the block producers as much as I can, ECAF and arbitration, and all those things.
Congratulations, Thomas, on your decision.
Thank you very much. It's been months and months in the making, and it seems like exactly the right thing.
That's excellent.
And I guess we'll find out more details. What we will you be joining another company or whatever?
Yeah, breaking news for you, and details to come. And I will give you something on the EOS Go forum when the time is right.
Excellent.
That's great. Yeah.
Meanwhile, speaking of the EOS Go forum, there's a terrific long-form, long-ish posting about worker proposals that folks might be interested in. If you haven't been monitoring the worker proposal subsection of the EOS Go forum, highly recommend that. It's starting to heat up. If you're a fairly recent add-on, recently arrived in the EOS community, you should know that we've got a number of aspects of governance that are rolling out in sequence. Constitution and arbitration technically had to be in place before we launched, even though there was no way for the community to ratify them, which is why everything is sort of on an interim basis. And the way the Constitution will get either ratified or replaced by a better Constitution or whatever the token holders decide is by referendum. So what's a referendum? Well, it's a way to vote on chain using the same token way we vote for block producers to express your preference for or approval of governing documents. And it's also the same process that will amend the Constitution from time to time. There's a working group very active on designing and building. They actually have testable code right now for a referendum contract that could be deployed as an add-on to the system contract to allow token holders to vote in a referenda. And that would then give us the mechanism by which we can authorize a constitution that would go from interim status to just regular old binding constitution. Not the interim isn't binding. And also, I'm expecting that the ECAF and any other arbitration forum that wants to be considered for use by token holders will most likely present a slate of candidate or vetted arbitrators for an up or down vote of the token holders. It's very similar to what we see in a lot of nations around the world, where the executive branch might nominate a judge, but then the legislative branch gives them an up or down vote. That same kind of an idea, that we don't necessarily want the token holders to have to get down into the weeds of looking at each individual potential arbitrator, but rather look at a slate or look at some proposal that's been worked on by folks in detail, and then are prepared for an up or down. So we expect to have that coming with referenda. One of the very first referendum votes will be on worker proposals. Bluejays, you just inhaled dramatically. What do you want to?
I want to know who's working on the referendum contract, what the status is, and if there are multiple people working on it.
I don't want to steal their thunder. And yeah, there is a Telegram channel devoted to that. And I've encouraged the team to have a public status report, maybe a walkthrough of the code and so forth. And I will encourage them to contact you to announce their public next steps on the EOS Go forum.
Okay, great.
As you're aware, there's a dynamic that most folks, some folks at least, aren't really understanding or aren't familiar with, that we want to be transparent and open and invite input, but at the same time, if you get more than, say, 5 or 6 people actively working on something, everything slows down. You get 12 or more people actively engaged, nothing happens. And
right.
So it's been tremendously effective to break the work into chunks, get into small groups to do a portion of the work, bring it back to the larger group for discussion, acceptance, correction, whatever. And so we're seeing that it's like a fractal. We break things down into smaller bits, get some work done, bring it back to the larger group for comment. And then, of course, the largest group of all are the token holders, the EOS public, the community. And so I say that because we're seeing that pattern starting to take form in the worker proposal group, which is currently open for volunteers. Those of you who are interested, there's a Telegram channel for that. I'll get you the link. I don't know that the referendum team is really ready for a lot of new cooks to show up in the kitchen. So since I'm trying to be supportive but not change their rhythm or tell them what to do, I'm very reluctant to give too much detail on how they're proceeding. Bear in mind that this is all like community driven from the referendum side. I mean, if there's another group out there that's working on referendum, I'd love to know about it. There might be 3 or 4, who knows? Mm-hmm. We are decentralized, as you know. So let me see. Which of those loops I just opened do you want to go deeper on?
I mean,
So I just mentioned
I'm worried more about the timeline. So I guess
the
ETA.
timeline. Yeah. Clearly, the sooner we can get referenda in place, the sooner we can ratify the Constitution or amend it or change it or whatever we need to do. The sooner we can vote in the first worker proposal system. There's going to be two. I'll tell you about that in a second. Sooner we can ratify a slate of arbitrators or things along those lines. So yeah, clearly referendum is very important, and I'm delighted that it's such a fast track, and they're actually testing sample code right now. That's tremendously good news.
It's on the critical path, as they say. Yep.
Yes, it absolutely is. It's tremendously important. Unlike, say, an Ethereum or a similar blockchain where maybe they're trying to figure out who their stakeholders are, we know who our stakeholders are. It's token holders. And we've always said since the first white paper, the token holders would have the ability to vote on and approve of and set policy, but we need a mechanism for doing so. So everybody knows that that is totally like top of the list crucial. So what else would you like to talk about? I'm totally driven by your agenda here. Or we can look at the comments. Maybe there's somebody watching on YouTube Live who has some burning question. Totally open to that.
Thomas, explain the difference between the concept of the minimum viable product 1 and the minimum viable product 2.
With regard to worker proposals,
right.
Yeah. Right. So we've got an incredibly talented team who've been working for months on the worker proposal concept. The very first thing we did was try to surface all the questions that a worker proposal would need to answer. Then we did a draft charter of what we believe the worker proposal group should be trying to accomplish to respond to the questions that we surfaced. We published both of those. Then more recently, I performed 2 orientations to the worker proposal work group for the public. We had the 40 people to register for the first one, 30 for the second. I recorded them both, and I published on YouTube a recording of the second one because it was a little bit better. And we also published the slides. And what we laid out in those in that briefing, in that orientation, is that there's an MVP1, a minimum viable product number 1 for worker proposals. It's just for single phase, single tranche of funding. From a complexity aspect, would be simple projects. They could be large or important, but they could be simple projects that could be voted up or down on by the token holders. And this would leverage, obviously, the referendum process. You don't want to reinvent voting or have multiple ways to vote. That would be confusing, weird, and dangerous. And so one of the very first referenda will be whether or not to adopt MVP1. Okay. And the purpose of MVP1 is, number 1, to open the possibility of funding important, crucial, mission-critical things from the worker proposal fund. We'll pull up on screen here, the current balance of the worker proposals system. If I can find the right link.
And I think the estimates have been, it's almost $1 million a day or something like that. The numbers have been thrown out there, something since the chain has launched.
Yeah, you're right about that. Obviously, it varies with token price, but it grows by about 100,000 tokens a day. And the current balance is 1.2 million EOS, which, as I said, I put it on screen. Let me do that. So here I am on the EOStracker.io accounts, and then I'm looking at EOS.saving, which is the account where the 4% of inflation is saved for future use. And big praise to the folks who made EOS Tracker, one of a number of excellent block explorers available to the public. So here, as you look at this account, you see that the value in the account down here, 1.2 million EOS approximately, or $9.8 million US at current token price. and it'll fluctuate with token price. And that is, roughly at 100,000 tokens a day, it was at 800,000 at the $8 token price. That accumulates pretty rapidly, and that could be used to pay for some really important things. Folks have talked about paying for an independent security audit of the EOS code, or independent security audits of the most popular wallets to make sure they're safe and secure for the users. Some sort of a stipend to pay NS James so that he can be an independent, full-time EOS contributor and member of the community, rather than just contributing in his spare time. The guy's working a full-time job and giving out of love to the community and creating amazing software. Imagine how much more value we'd all get from a full-time NS James working for us. I'm so excited by that very possibility. Not that I'm trying to influence the token holders inappropriately, but oh my God, would that be cool? These are the kinds of things that people talk about funding. And these funds belong to the community, so they can really only be dispersed by a vote of the community. And we need a mechanism for doing both the voting and not just like, oh, here's some money, and just throw it out there like a money hose or a big money bomb.
Right.
We don't want to reinvent the ICO, heaven forbid, having money fall on somebody with no accountability for how it's spent. Better, I think, to have some safeguards, some project oversight, some accountability, and so forth. And so that's the current thinking, is that we want to, we're in MVP 2, is figure out how do we make the token holders' interests protected so that projects can be proposed, funded, overseen, that money can be dispersed to them as they hit their milestones. And if they fail to deliver, that the project team could maybe be fired and the project itself given to a new team maybe, if it's still worth continuing with. And that's not something you can run through, popular votes at the ballot box. You can't steer the ship of EOS in a fine-grained way with just popular votes. It's unlikely to succeed. People might think that liquid democracy would be an approach. Maybe. Lots of open doors here. Lots of ways to experiment. I, for one, would see 3 or 4 different management approaches brought to bear on this that we could give some money to see how they perform, to really test them out.
Thomas, let's take a step back for a minute here and talk about the percentage of inflation that went to worker proposals. So right now we have 4% versus our inflation, which is a total of 5%, and the other 1% goes to block rewards for the block producers.
Well, no, the 1% goes to a combination of block award and vote award.
Okay.
And in fact, 1/4 of the 1% goes to block awards, and 3/4 of the 1% goes to per vote payments.
I see.
Which is why we fund standbys. Standbys don't make any blocks, but they still make money because they're paid roughly 200 tokens per 1% of the vote they've got.
Okay, so in one case, 1% is going to the block producers, and the 4% is going to the cities.
1% of the 5% inflation.
Right.
Correct.
How was that chosen? And of course, that's a very important decision that had to be made there. And what kind of decision making was used in that?
We actually ran through, in my count, at least 6 different payment schemes for how to fund the block producers, how to fund the worker proposals, how much inflation should be, and how it should be divided. And it was, and I know it was at least 6 because I ran the numbers on all of them. I had to build spreadsheet models, I had to consult experts, I had to get help from EOS Canada in particular and several other sources. Big thanks to EOS Canada, by the way, for doing some amazing work on that. Thank you, guys. And what it finally came down to was what was going to be easy to implement, easy to code so that the code would be robust and bulletproof in the time available, and was likely to be good enough to get us down the road anywhere from 3 to 6 months until a referendum system was available to tweak the numbers. Because remember, inflation is one of those features, and the inflation divide, the actual payment scheme for block producers, is something that can be altered by referendum. And so I think Dan ultimately was the guy who put on his Solomon hat and, as they say, cut the baby. In other words, made the decision that what the proportions should be. And that was after we'd gotten a ton of feedback from the community and run through all these other proposals. So it is hard-coded. It's a hard-coded number. It's not variable by token price. It's not something that block producers, they bid on. There was an earlier proposal to have block producers bid on how much inflation they would charge. And that was let go of in the final design to make it extremely simple, robust, and bug-free, and good enough, which I'm confident that it currently is.
Interesting.
And we have so Chaney Moore was on earlier. He was helping us understand some of the airdrops coming up, and he also wanted to pass along a thank you, a personal thank you from himself, just talking about for you, of course, for all the work you've been doing with the worker proposals and the governance system. So he's very impressed.
Thank you. I say standing on the shoulders of giants. I am. There's this parade going on, and I've jumped in front of the parade, and I look like I'm leading it. But there's just a ton of really talented people in this community who are passionate about making this entire governance system work, and I'm very fortunate to be involved in many of those conversations and to occasionally do leader-like things to help move it forward. And it's been a real blessing for me to be involved in this. I expect to continue to be involved in the EOS community for at least the next 10 years of my career, and maybe much more than that.
Well, thank you. And he actually has a question about Article 15 of the Constitution, and he said he's read Dan's perpetual property article, and Article 15 references the tokens after 3 years being returned back to the system, I suppose you could say. I'll read the article word for word here.
Yes.
Termination of agreement, Article 15, termination of agreement. A member is automatically released from all revocable obligations under this Constitution 3 years after the last transaction signed by that member is incorporated into the blockchain. After 3 years of inactivity, an account may be put up for auction and the proceeds distributed to all members according to the system contract provisions then in effect for such redistribution. So I guess you'd like sort of your thoughts on that article, your opinion, I guess, compared to Dan's.
Yeah, one of the most important words that people overlook in that article is the word may. The word may, not must, not shall. These are legally different words, but may. What this does is it permits the token holders to set a policy on what they'd like to do. And this is important in part because at least one authority has suggested to me that when a person agrees to an arbitration agreement, that at least in some jurisdictions there's a statute of limitations, if you will, or a limit to how long that lasts, of 3 years. And so how do we protect ourselves against token holders if the last time they agreed to the Constitution was 3 years ago, and now they're no longer a member of the community, they vanished, they're gone. Now, this is not the same thing as not selling your tokens. It's transactions signed. You could sign a transaction saying, I'm still here, still alive. You can come off that world cruise that, every once a year you come around to home port, you can come off the ship, and they have internet on ships these days, but I'm exaggerating, but you come out and sign a transaction saying, yep, I'm still alive. And so now we at least know you're still out there, because accounts do take up resources. Remember, we're talking about accounts, not just tokens. The totality of the account, which is all the contracts, all of the memory, all of the whatever that future reality. Because remember that this ecosystem is going to grow. So an account might encompass any number of resources. And having at least the option for the community to reclaim abandoned accounts is an important statement of the rights of the community with respect to this mutual agreement we're all making with each other via the Constitution. And the current rule is that if you are completely years, don't do a single transaction, don't sign anything for 3 years, the community may auction off your account and return the money to the community. And they might not. And we've got 2 years, 11 months, and several weeks in which to change our mind if we feel like amending Article 15. And there's been a lot of complaint about Article 15. I shouldn't be this blunt, but I will. One idiot went so far as to say, you can't hold your tokens for more than 3 years. It's like, do you even know what a transaction is? So it's, an argument or a criticism based on incoherence and a complete lack of understanding of what the words in the article mean, let alone what it implies. Which is, by the way, why it's important that we continue to do the work we've already started on the EOS Go forum of having each article broken out and examined in detail for what it really means, so we can have an appropriate conversation about policy setting and not silly arguments based on a complete misunderstanding of what the words mean. Anyway, so just driving more traffic to EOS Go forum or its successor on the blockchain, because there's apparently a proposal afoot to make a forum contract that will allow us all to do threaded conversations on the EOS blockchain for later reference. Much more robust, I think, and more permanent and more verifiable than, say, Telegram messages, where so much of our interactions are today.
Yeah, and of course, when you come on and sign, going back to the 3 years thing, when you come and sign a transaction, I should say, you will then be signing all the new Constitution. However it looks at that point, you will be signing that Constitution because it can change.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Yeah, you cannot interact with the blockchain without at least implicitly signing the Constitution, even today, even the very first transaction. Because remember, chain state includes the system contract ABI. And the system contract ABI contains the full text of the Constitution, as well as all the recording contracts of all of the actions in the system contract. And when you sign a transaction through Tapos, you are also including a hash of a block of the most recent irreversible block, which means you are signing the state of the Constitution at that time. So I think we have a pretty good case to make that all users of the chain today are implicitly signers of the Constitution, and we're seeing more and more, like the Graymass wallet and other really good UI designers are making it very clear to people what the Constitution says and the fact that they're agreeing to it by using the chain.
So it's implicit, and it's also technical that they are also agreeing to the Constitution. I just guess the missing part would be
yes,
just the fact that people may not know that they've given permission, or that they've given themselves, they've accepted it on that level.
Right. So there's another article, I think it might be Article 12 or 13. I should have these things memorized, and I don't, where we say that when you as a developer create a front end for users, you are required to show people the terms and conditions they're agreeing to. Because bear in mind, every smart contract, every action on the blockchain, of the EOS blockchain, either has a Ricardian contract, or at least has the option for a Ricardian contract. And all of the most important system contract actions have Ricardian contracts attached to them, which you are agreeing to whether you know it or not. You're bound by them whether you know it or not. And a good front end will show it to you and require you to acknowledge it.
Interesting.
Yeah, something that people are still wrapping their minds around, because this is the first governed blockchain. You have to be signing something when you're making a transaction.
And we are the first blockchain where contract outranks the execution of the contract. And so what is the intention of the contract? It's always reflected in the Ricardian contract that matches the smart contract one-to-one. And if you don't show it to somebody, or you, a developer, didn't write a Ricardian contract, you are saying by default that there is no separate intention than what the execution was. Very dangerous. So please, if you're a developer, write those Ricardian contracts. If you're not sure how, get in touch with me. We should probably do maybe a little tutorial on that. There's already online tutorials, but maybe a video one would help.
Thomas, some members of the community are debating back and forth on the validity and the authenticity of ECAF as an organization. What can you tell us about your position on that?
I'll give you my best thinking, and everyone has to, of course, decide for themselves. That's the kind of blockchain we have. So everyone decides for themselves. You can't bootstrap a governed blockchain with no governance to start. That's why we have an interim constitution. And you can't have a constitution without dispute resolution, which is why we have, as an interim basis only, an arbitration forum called ECAF, or the EOS Core Arbitration Forum, ECAF. And ECAF had to exist prior to the launch of the chain so that the Constitution could refer to it. Just as the Constitution had to exist as a document prior to the launch of the chain, even though it couldn't have any voting-based validity. The only real, in my opinion at least, the only real teeth that this Constitution has is the fact that people launched a chain that uses it, and then people are using that chain. And the way you disagree with this Constitution is you launch your own chain with a better one, but nobody did. So clearly the complaints can't be very serious. And both the ECAF Arbitration Forum and the Constitution as an interim Constitution must, as soon as possible, pass through the legitimizing stage of a referendum by the token holders, which is not possible yet. And as soon as it is, it needs to happen. And at that point, if the token holders could ratify a constitution that changes the article where ECAF is named and name a different arbitration forum, totally within the rights of the token holders to do that. If they do name ECAF in the new one, in the ratified constitution, they may choose to turn down the candidate or the interim arbitrators that will be put forward for ratification. And so once the referendum is held, any previous interim arbitrator can no longer be an arbitrator if they fail to be validated, if they fail to be passed thumbs up by the token holders through the referendum process. But until then, the arbitrators have their power because ECAF exists as an independent entity, and because you are using a governed blockchain whose constitution you signed by doing transactions on it. Now, you may hate that, and you may wish to use another forum, and you can do that. If you and your dispute partner, I love that phrase, by the way, dispute partner. You and your dispute partner. Well, now, okay, I'll let your wife answer that one. Because don't we often dispute with our partners, right? Anytime you're in conflict with another person. I like the phrase conflict partner or dispute partner because it implies that we are tied together, if only by our dispute. And so you and your dispute partner can always, even partway through an existing arbitration process, change arbitrators by agreeing to disagree in a new way. And the only real outcome of arbitration is that you agree. And at the end of the day, agreement is what is important. And arbitration has teeth because contract law gives it teeth. The entire EOS blockchain is a contract-governed system. You sign the Constitution, which is a contract. You're signing system contracts that have Ricardian contracts attached to them. All of them refer directly or indirectly to ECAF as the default arbitration system. And so you've agreed to use ECAF even if you didn't vote for them. And if you don't want to use ECAF, you and your dispute partner had better go pick somebody else.
And we can only pick somebody else if we have a referendum contract, right?
Well, no, you could pick a new one today. Let's say you and Fred do some sort of a contract on the blockchain, and in your contract you could say our disputes are resolved by flipping a coin, or our disputes are resolved through the EOS Go dispute resolution forum that you've created with you and your cat. Or it literally could be anything as long as you and your partner agree to it. And you could write a contract today that refers to the International Chamber of Commerce forum, or the International Center for Dispute Resolution, or there's an international forum based out of London, I forget their name. You could name any of those in your contract, and as long as you and your contracting partner agree to it, you can use them today on the EOS blockchain.
Okay, very, very well said. That was a good question that we've heard from some folks as well, because a lot of folks are wondering if it's possible to have competing arbitration forums.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right now ECAF is just the default, because without a default, things just fall on the floor and can't get decided. But you can always specify a new dispute resolution forum, and I'm very strongly in favor of having a multitude of them, particularly specialty ones that can have an expertise on a topic. Because we are going to have so many different applications coming online. It might be smart to have a dispute resolution forum CEOs and airdrops, one that specializes in game tokens and non-fungible tokens. one that specializes in I don't know what. Clearly, bringing technical expertise and responsiveness, and whatever else that your customers or potential customers might desire, finding the forum or even creating the forum to supply that need is a wonderful, wonderful idea.
And switching gears a little bit, we have some folks, it's actually been asked a couple times now in the chat here, asking about reducing the 100 backup the standby block producers. The old model called for 100 block producers. It was just an arbitrary number, it seemed like. And now we're looking at about 30 or so backup. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, as I said, we went through 6 different models, and the one we finally settled on had several virtues, one of which was it was completely deterministic. It was simple to understand. It was simple to code. It was highly maintainable. And given the current token price, frankly, if we spread, you ever had the position you've got a big piece of bread and not enough butter, and you're trying to spread that butter, or not enough butter on too much bread. You have not enough inflation on too many block producers if you try to spread it too far. And you can't run servers on 10 tokens a day, or even 20 or 30 at the current prices. So if the token price went up in particular, it would make a lot of sense, I think, maybe, to ask the token holders to set a new policy to say the top, I'm making this up, this is one of our earlier thinking points, was to say the top 21 make blocks and get block awards. And then 22 through 121, would be the next 100 places, would all get a per diem of some amount, whatever that is. And then there could also be a third layer of per vote award. And to make that work, you have to have a token price that's big enough to provide that 121st place person or team enough tokens to pay their servers and pay salaries to run a 24/7 standby producer. If you end up giving people starvation wages, or it's not enough money, and they're losing money trying to be in the game, we're actually not adding to stability at all.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, we can even,
but anyway, absolutely.
Sorry, I think we messed up there, but I was thinking, when you're at 121 and you start rising, as you get further and further up, you get more funding. So you could start standing yourself up or scale up as you move up the list.
Right, and you certainly need to be able to provide some sort of value to the chain in exchange for whatever tokens you're earning. It wouldn't be fair or just, or maybe even a contract, if we just gave money to people whose only accomplishment was they registered an identity, but they weren't actually running any servers, and therefore weren't providing public access to read-only nodes of the blockchain.
Okay.
That's why having a certain plausible level of income for standbys is important.
Yeah, and of course, I think, Thomas, we've seen DPoS blockchains like Steam and BitShares operate in the same sort of mechanisms. And this, again, EOS and the configuration and the models that you guys have chose, it comes from experience in those last two, especially with Dan's input.
A lot. Yes, Dan has sweated blood and has an enormous amount of experience. And I confess I've actually done a tiny bit of research into the behavior of both Steam and BitShares, and how their compensation model has or has not well served those communities.
And of course, those communities.
By the way, that's why we. Go ahead.
Of course, those communities also had worker proposal systems as well.
At least one of them definitely did, although that's not an area I did study, because frankly, I thought the model was terrible.
Yeah.
And I think that there's been a general consensus among the worker proposal development team, volunteers. None of them think that having a stream of tokens related to your vote percentage is in any way a plausible way to fund a project.
Right.
It may be easy to code, but it's not rational.
Thomas, has been a pleasure, and we want to thank you for coming on again. And the next time, when we see you next week, you're going to be on your own, I guess, or with some new set of news?
I will have probably a new title, certainly a new employer, even if it's only myself, and the same passion, the same interest, our shared community, and I very much look forward to coming back.
And of course, you said I've heard you say a couple times that you plan to be in this ecosystem for a long time, around 10 years. You said. I don't know how you picked the 10, but
10 years at least. I might be retiring after 10 years, but I certainly have no intention of leaving so vibrant, so committed, so passionate, so wonderful, and so welcoming a community as this. I think old school crypto attracts a kind of you see a lot of libertarians across all of crypto, but I think that the people who found the kind of arrogant, angry, yelling, mean, zero-sum game, law of the jungle approach of the proof of works chains, some people just find that off-putting. And we've attracted them to our project because we're better in those regards. We are welcoming, we are inclusive, we listen to each other, we take each other's concerns seriously. And so far we've seen an enormous amount of goodwill, volunteerism, and a desire to improve the entire community, lift all the boats. I think we are going to outcompete any and every comparable chain because of the quality of the people we've attracted and our ability through governance to pivot, to grow, to modify, to advance, to evolve this chain. We should, I think, through the referendum process and the worker proposal process, be able to keep this chain technically cutting edge for years to come. I'm looking forward to seeing that happen.
Awesome.
Cool. I guess with the worker proposal system, we should start saving up for a gold retirement watch for you in 10 years or so.
Only if I earn it.
Okay.
Anyway, look for more on worker proposals and the referendum in coming up episodes. I'm going to encourage both those teams to bring somebody on to talk in detail about those extremely interesting projects. And folks who want to volunteer for either of those should definitely get in touch, either through me or through the folks who are volunteering on those two projects. And I will have to ask you to message me on the EOS Go forum website, please.
And Thomas, okay. I encourage you to take a look at the chat and see all the love that you're getting from our community.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a big part of why I'm here. You take care.
Thanks. Thanks, Thomas. See you.
Wow. Leaving block deal. 1, huh? Did you expect that, Kevin? I think we sort of heard some rumors flying around, and yeah, there he goes.
I mean, it's a great choice in my opinion. I felt like a while ago in my mind, working for EOS itself, the blockchain is a great idea. There's so much opportunity flying around, and he is one of the probably way up there with Dan in terms of the most visible, most respected, most trusted members of the EOS community. So I think he's making the right choice. It sounds like it's almost been a mutual long-term decision that they've had, and sounds great. And congratulations to him.
Yeah, he said it well. It's his function is going to be best served if he would not be working for a Wayland ecosystem. So
yeah, independent and trusted and neutral. I can respect that. So
right.
Let's see here. Let's go into some news, Bluejays. I mean, we're not, we've talked a little bit about the ECAF issues and whatnot. In terms of some good news we've seen, China has listed EOS as the #1 blockchain project. They've even put Bitcoin outside the top 10. But EOS is firmly in #1. Passion is very high in China. And what have you noticed from these rankings, Bluejays? Have you looked into these?
I have not. I did link it, and I did realize that it was a government sort of a ranking. So it does hold a lot of credibility there. And I do know that Ethereum was #1 for a while until I believe EOS has come in and taken that slot. So we've got the #1 spot for now, and if anyone wants to challenge that or discuss that or critique that, we would love to have you on our show, and maybe we can talk about what that ranking means to you and how we can understand it, really, because I don't know much about it.
Sure. Yeah, I think that we keep hearing all the passion in China, and it'd be fun to maybe have some more folks from China on the show as well, folks who can sort of give us a better insight into what the government thinks of EOS. Are they planning to implement their own chain, or are they looking to build on the mainnet itself? What would the Chinese effort into blockchain, what would that look like? We've heard a lot about how China would love to have all kinds of stuff on blockchain, and how they have in their long-term Republic of China vision plan, I think they actually have a lot of blockchain related information in there as to what their goals are. I know from by 2020 or somewhere afterwards, they might have a national currency on blockchain.
Wow.
Seems like there are some countries that have been going that route. I think it was Japan that also said that. And of course, this is off the top of my head, so if I'm wrong, please let me know. But it seems like in the long term, it would make more sense, right? And even Dan has talked about how a national currency on blockchain could be great, because instead of doing a tax system, the government could then just take part of the inflation for taxes, which would save all the money on trying to get money back from people. Would save money on the IRS, for example, Internal Revenue Service in the United States, as an example. So you could save a lot of money, be a lot more efficient, of course. Never have to try and get the money back after giving it out, is what the government would not have to do. So a lot of ways that we could see improvements, and it's encouraging and kind of exciting to see that China thinks so very highly of EOS.
Right.
Let's go into the ECAF stuff there, Blue Jays. Talk about that. So go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, as Thomas said, we need to have a default party, an arbitrator, some teeth in the ecosystem to handle the cases that come up. We don't want to have a mall without a security guard, right? Or cops nearby. Like, I mean, we need to have something around in order that it's the rule of the rule of law blockchain. And we get it. It's not perfect. No, it wasn't chosen by referendum. It's not going to be make everyone happy, but at least right now, those guys are doing the best job that they can, and you as token holders have a choice to pick who you want to be your arbitrator,
or even become one, right? I mean, you could start advertising your arbitration business, ECOF maybe, ECOF, and
ECAF too.
ECAF too, yeah. I mean, it's not like we're bound to this one particular group, as you just heard Thomas talk about. And it just comes down to reputation on blockchain, really. I mean, if you have a high reputation and folks respect and trust you, they may want to use your services as an arbitrator or as a mediator. I mean, someone calm and soothing like Bluejays, for example. The guy he's like a laser focused piece of ice, ice cold steel. And he'll look right into your case and determine the exact truth. I'm joking. Bluejays is not an arbitrator.
Yeah, I'm not going to do
but,
that.
I'm just saying that there's plenty of folks in the community, and part of what we do too is we help to bring faces to names in person here on video, and you guys can sort of meet everybody in the community, or many folks who are working hard. Like Chaney, you made the decision earlier to bring Chaney more onto the show. I had never met him before,
right?
But he was excellent. I loved hearing from him, and he's the kind of guy maybe someday in the future, if he likes that kind of aspect of EOS, he may decide to start his own service. Sorry, Chaney, if I'm putting words in your mouth there, but I just think that in terms of building your reputation and trying to make sort of a space for yourself in EOS, that's part of what all this is about. And if you wanted to start your own forum, the first step probably would be to get more involved and let people know who you are, and then hopefully you can start expanding on that interest.
And of course, I mean, if you need arbitration services, you can choose who you want as well too, it sounds like. So you can shop around and use the way arbitration works is both parties have to agree, right? So you and the other party agree, and if the other party is unknown or you can't contact with that person, then we can go with the default one. And so far, every situation looks like it has come out for the best. I've seen somebody on Reddit be happy with the case that was arbitrated by the ECAF.
Yeah, and a lot of the negativity we've seen about the ECAF, diving in a little further into the various issues that we've seen. There was a fake ruling that was put out a couple days ago, I believe, maybe yesterday, and someone had plagiarized that order type template that they've been using for their rulings, I guess you could say. And they went ahead and made one up. I guess they said they were going to seize a couple of accounts, and they made something dramatic. Kind of scared a lot of people, and of course created a whole lot more negativity outside the community and inside as well. So that's one of the issues that probably need to be worked on in terms of how they communicate that cannot be plagiarized so easily, right? And of course, on-chain is the first answer, most exciting answer. We saw EOS New York just put out the kind of a proposal, I guess you could say. They want sort of, instead of reg producer, it'd be like a reg arbitrator. type of contract, and you can put out your information on the blockchain and then hopefully communicate through that as well. So there's been various, there's new attempts coming up from all kinds of different sides of folks who are trying to sort of improve the system and help ECAF get a little bit better at all this. Communication is often one of the first issues that is causing a lot of problems. And when people don't know what's going on, they automatically assume the worst, it seems like, or they often can sometimes assume the worst. And that never helps the community in general. So one thing we should also bring up too is that Dan talks about how you can't just start a ruling against anybody for anything. You really should have some particular incident that's bringing it up. For example, you can't rule against all block producer candidates because they may have done something to offend you and you represent all token holders. It needs to be more like someone has stolen money from you directly and you're bringing a case against them to get your money back from them. Some kind of specific I'm trying to say a defendant / person who has stolen from you, or that's perpetrator.
And in that case, Kevin, it brings up the question: do we want arbitrators to be funded via free market, or do we want them to be subsidized by the chain? On one hand, if it's subsidized by the chain, then anybody can bring up any crazy old case like you just mentioned. You will end up getting a lot of people just opening up cases because they don't really have any stake in the game in terms of, let's say, putting up $700 to secure an arbitrator in order to try your case. So if there's that initial barrier to entry, you're going to get, by natural economical mechanisms, you're going to get better cases and cases that are more non-trivial.
Yeah, if I look at the blockchain as more to peer-to-peer, sort of enabling peer-to-peer mechanisms, whether it's transfer of funds or you're able to do something like an upvote and transfer value that way, peer-to-peer. I think arbitration is kind of similar, right? You have a peer-to-peer transaction in terms of someone who's trusted and you like them and you prefer for them to rule on your case. And if your dispute partner, I guess, agrees, then you can both use that arbitrator to work with you. You don't have to go to the government, right? We don't have this one ECAF, the mighty ECAF who just governs everything and you go to them and that's it. No, that's not the point. The point is that you have all kinds of different competing arbitrators, different reputable individuals, folks who can help you settle disputes. And that can be honored on the blockchain as well. So, and of course, as we know, free market capitalism, I guess you could call it, or just competition, really that helps sort of build the best system. And if you have arbitrators who are trying to provide the best services for their token holders, then they'll go out of their way, just like we've seen block producers do. They'll find ways to build the reputation and to help the token holder base so that they can become the best arbitrator possible and be able to charge higher fees and be able to take on the best cases, kind of thing. So.
Right. And if you, for example, you said making a name for yourself as an arbitrator, you can charge as much as you want. You could be a $500 or $300 an hour arbitrator, or you can be a $500 a case arbitrator, and that case would be 40 hours of work. So there's a free market there, just like there is in the litigation market. So that's one way. But I think what we're trying to do here at the initial stages is to protect the token holder who's been scammed. And I think that's something that's very important for the public face of and perception of EOS as a whole, as it is perceived by the public at large, and that EOS is not open for scamming. And I think that's a very important perception that needs to be taken care of right off the bat. And I think that's what Thomas was getting at with the default arbitration.
Right. Just the early cases that can help set the tone.
Right.
Absolutely. Sure. What other news have you seen too, Bluejays, in the past week?
I'm just hearing more and more airdrops, and like I said, we didn't plan this show to be an airdrop special. It just so happened everybody is into airdrops, and like you said, Chaney was booked a couple of weeks in advance, and then a couple of the guests, some guests canceled, and more guests came on, and it all had to do with airdrops. So I think we're seeing this airdrop and take stage, and dApps take stage, and we want to see more and more of the apps and what people are doing with them as well too. So looking forward to seeing more airdrops. I believe, if anybody knows, is Everpedia coming out very soon? Does anyone know the date for that? I believe they were supposed to be out last week, but maybe they're just having some delays.
Right. Yeah, I think there's we'll hear more from them, I'm sure, shortly. But the date is sometime around now, and of course, that's one of the more exciting ones. And I think you put it well. I mean, as soon as I realized this was going to be an airdrop special, which was earlier today, I guess, really when we sort of said, "Wow, all these guests are airdrops." That's what's exciting about this. You know, to me, it's like, yeah, we've got the infrastructure, and that needs work, right? In terms of the block producers, the information that the community has to be able to vote in and out those block producers, the ECAF, the arbitration, all that stuff, you know, that's just the base layer.
Right.
You know, our concrete has cracks in it right now, but let's fill the cracks in, right? And let's build the rest of the infrastructure. Let's build the city. I mean, that's the whole point. Let's have these dApps. Let's interact with these dApps. Let's do some good karma with each other. You know, it's
a community, fees. Right, Kevin? It's a town. It's a city, right?
It really is. It's like a city, right? So, to me, it's exciting to see that the first little buildings are starting to pop up a little bit, right? Instead of just worrying about the cracks and staring at them and sticking our finger in the crack and going, "Oh, I see it's gotten bigger today." I mean, come on. Right. So, looking forward, it's getting better and better in my mind.
Yeah, you know? I agree with you. Focus on what's working.
Yeah, that was kind of my final thought for the week too, Blue Jays. What's your final thought?
I think that's a good one to end on. We're building up this town and this village, and what did Dan say when he congratulated everybody? You know, this is a digital commonwealth or something to that effect.
Digital nation.
Digital nation, yeah.
That's what we said. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. But we have our own little judicial system, and we have our elected representatives. We talked about this before, but it really is like building a new nation in a way, and it takes a lot of work, right? Won't be perfect right out of the gate. It also is hard because we have all kinds of opinions and thoughts flying around, and that's a great part of it. That's what makes a very healthy democracy or system of this nature. So if you have a loud opinion, or if you have others who are on the same page as you, of course, do your best to see if you can get a proposal out there and maybe get it taken more seriously. In terms of just going into Telegram and shouting your opinion, that's not always the most effective way. The best way is to sort of open up a Google Doc and put your proposal down as to what you could do to help fix it. Maybe get a few other people behind that as well. And then once you get more momentum, you may actually start to see something happen in terms of a fix that can help improve the ecosystem. So that's probably the best way to get involved and try and help build EOS, but also it helps make a name for yourself too. If you'd like to get more involved, just like Chaney's trying to do. You heard him talk about possibly someday being able to be more of an active role in EOS and be able to quit the corporate life he's in now. And the opportunities are everywhere. So, and Thomas is doing it too. He's hopping right in. So Blue Jays, here we are. Good stuff. Yeah. Any final thought? I mean, in terms of like where should people go, we got our EOS Go chat now in Telegram for folks who want to hang out with us all the time. And we have the Twitter account, of course, if you're into tweeting and you want to follow up with any updates that we have, or also we retweet some important updates from community members, good articles, things of that nature. You can keep up with us there. And the community updates channel on Telegram, also kind of a similar thing to Twitter, where it just announces anything important for you to try and cut through all the noise and keep up with EOS as much as possible. So as always, guys, go EOS.
Go EOS, guys.
Thank you.